Hey, everybody. So today I want to talk to you about uncentering whiteness. Okay. And I think that is a bedrock concept for us to begin this series with. Uh, what you'll find, for those of you who aren't familiar with my content, right? My name is Theus, Complex Mind, Simple Man. Um, I talk a lot about politics and a lot about social issues. Okay. And I do, focus a lot on history as well. But at the core of where I feel that I am in my development is about uncentering this thing we call whiteness. And for some people, when they hear me say uncenter whiteness, they think or they hear anti-white. And no, that's not what I'm saying at all. And what I'm saying is be pro-black, be pro your community. Look at what benefits you and what benefits the people that you are closest to in proximity and have the most in common with, so that we can improve our relative position in this competition that we call American economy and in the American political landscape, right? And to do that, you have to do a lot of soul searching, and you need to, or we need to, really look at some of the things that drive us and challenge why do they drive us? Why do we think some of the things we think, and why do we do some of the things that we do? And I have come to the conclusion that a huge part of it is because we haven't learned to center ourselves. And when you have difficulties centering yourself, when you center anybody or anything over yourself, that thing that you have centered is now elevated. See what I'm saying? So if you find yourself constantly comparing yourself to white folk, you're elevating them. If you find yourself regularly saying that the reason you can't have this is because of this group, or the reason why you can't have that is because of this group, you are in a way centering that, right? So I remember, there's a little anecdotal thing. I was a young cat. I was like in my early 20s, and I was dating this girl, and things weren't going so well. And I'm gonna call him an old head, because to me he was an old head. He probably wasn't even 40 yet. You know what I'm saying? But I was sitting there venting about all the things this girl has done to me and how she's, played with me this way or played with me that way and all that. And he said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't want to hear about all that. What did you do? Right? And that's where we have to get. All the noise aside, what are we going to do? What role do we play in the circumstances and situations we find ourselves in? What role can we play to change some of those very things? Okay. So that is what leads us into what I was saying as far as uncentering whiteness, because in our world, in America, the European is normative. And they're normative because, one, their culture has insisted upon it. And two, our culture struggles with shaking it off. And it's not impossible to reallocate the balance. It simply isn't. And as an example, I will look at some other groups. You look at the Korean community. Like here in Metro Atlanta, the Korean community is very strong. And they have entire blocks, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I'm in Metro Atlanta, so I'm up here in Gwinnett. So if you look at what we call Pleasant Hill Road, pretty much the whole road, they have their businesses established, they got schools established, they got medical offices, they have all these different things. They use their personal language. And Their culture inspires a lot of the design, and they ask for no permissions. They give no apologies. They're proud to be who and what they are, and they're making money and they're doing their thing and they're doing it within the American system. And they pay their taxes, they do their stuff, but they're not trying to play down their cultural identity, and they're not trying to assimilate, so to speak. Now, that's a little bit harder or a little trickier for us because to be an African American, to be a Black American, our culture is very much intertwined with the European culture because we've grown up here together. Certainly, we have our issues, but we've grown up here together, talk the same language and everything. But despite repeated efforts to truly assimilate, we've always been rejected. You look at how we were actively redlined, now is more covertly done. You look at where large population centers of African American, quote unquote, Black people, where we live, our property values, they're stagnated. That's not just because of us. There's nothing inherently wrong with us. There's a larger system at play that says that, hey, this valuation for this geographical area, we just don't place it as high. And then you look at it, and amazingly, who lives there? Okay. You look at some of our more mixed communities, it's only mixed to an extent. Too many of us move in, people start moving out. And that's what other people are going to do. And it's going to take time to adjust to that and make some changes to that. But it begins with us. We've spent hundreds of years trying to change other people. Let's focus more on how do we change us, right? Trying to become one with a culture that is foreign to us has only gotten us so far. So let's start finding ways to lean more into our own, right? One of some of the greatest things in our history that have served us best? And that has been our faith community, whether it's Christian or Muslim. Those are the two dominant religious groups. Me personally, I don't really rock with religion too tight, but I admit and have to acknowledge those are two powerhouses that have really helped sustain our community over time. We have the revolutionary spirit, where we resist abject oppression. Unfortunately, we put up with a little bit too much suppression, but we don't do well with oppression, right? So we will push back. Okay, well, let's tap into some of that. What I often hear is a love, an appreciation for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., for Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Fred Hampton. You know, these are people that we hold in high esteem, and personally I do as well. But we need to do a better job of looking at why. You know, what was it about these people? And there were a lot of ladies too, right? We love Harriet Tubman, we love Sojourner Truth, right? But the lessons they were teaching was, how do you learn how to rely on each other? And how do we lift each other up? And how do we invest in each other using what we have? See, if we could focus a lot more on what we do have, we can grow it. Case in point, the starting a business as a Black person in America can be quite difficult unless you're tied into certain networks, or you have worked in such a way to be fortunate enough to be making a significant income and you can invest in yourself. But that's not the case for the vast majority. So our businesses often have a much higher fail rate because we're undercapitalized. We don't have access to the money. If you go to a bank, they don't want to give it to you. And we have good reasons why. Well, they don't have good reasons, but we have good reasons why they keep doing that to us. Mainly, that ain't our money. It's their money. So they don't want to give it to us because they don't want to invest in their competition. So how do we take what we do have and follow a little bit of like the Nation of Islam principle and start small and grow bigger and make sure you're always focused on employing your community, serving your community, and that way you can keep the money circulating a little bit more in your community. Okay. So when I was saying case in point, this is an idea. Let's say you have um, a local barber. Okay, we're gonna use a barber for as an example because most of us have some relationship to a barber or a salon, all right, stylist, salon, whatever. They are oftentimes running a cash business and they're undercapitalized. Right? They make a lot of their money off of booth rent, which is charging other stylists and barbers for using their premises. And they start really making a lot more of their money off of that than they do off of directly cutting or styling hair. It's part of a business model. Nothing wrong with it. But the community very well could go to that barber or the owner of the business and find out what the booth rent is. And then let's say the booth rent is, I don't know, I'm making up a number, $300 a month. Okay. So booth rent is $300 a month for, Tiffany to come in and cut hair. Well, that means Tiffany has to cut at least $300 worth of, take care of $300 worth of clientele before she makes $1. What if the community paid her booth rent? What if the community said, hey, Tiffany wants a job here. You want to give her an opportunity to work here, or she wants a spot here. Okay. We're going to pay her booth rent for, or we work with her anyway. We probably wouldn't work directly with the owner. It all depends. We work it out. But we pay her booth rent for 90 days, 6 months, a year even. So that's the community just dropping a little bit of money, $20 from you, $10 from you, whatever. But as an organization, we come together and we do that. That means Tiffany is now able to positive cash flow that period of time, really getting her legs underneath her so she can buy extra equipment that she finds that she needs. She can get better equipment that she needs. She can do all these different things without the added overhead of that booth rent. As a community, we can do things like that. Wow, how does that serve the community? The way that serves the community is you just created less overhead for someone in your community to make a living, to earn a living, and to be employed in an environment that doesn't have them employed by other groups that may not appreciate her the same way. That's one way it serves the community. Another way it serves the community, she can help take care of her own family better because she don't have that money sitting over her. So now her son is better taken care of, or her daughter is better taken care of. She can put that money towards her rent. So she's able to, so she can have a little bit better place to live, or at least be able to afford the place she lives a little easier. Right. And then, she does that for, she's in there working for however long she's there working. Subsidies run out, whatever. But now she's built a clientele of her own. She starts her own spot. She moves over there. We just created a new business owner. New business owner puts more money in our community. Right? We can do little things like that. I just use the barbershop salon thing because most of us can relate to that. Me a little bit less, but we can relate to that. Education, we look at we're gonna have a deeper conversation about education later, but this is about us centering us, right? So we look at our little boys and girls and they go to school. Okay, well, we want to make sure that the kids have what they need. Well, the community could come together and provide underclothes, provide socks, provide polos, right? We can do those types of things, and it don't even have to be, that tailored if you're doing it that general. But anything that the community puts in for the family, for the people in the community, is money that individual household didn't have to spend. Right? I come to you, and you got a kid who's in the 4th grade, and I deliver to you, 5 polos and 6 pairs of slacks and jeans. That money, it cost me personally $20, but it was a bunch of us paying $20. but that family doesn't have to drop that $200, $300, $400 on school clothes, right? These are things how the community can kick back and help each other. It's kind of like in the spirit of the Black Panther Party. We can, that's basically that point. I don't want to belabor that point, right? Not right now. But that's how you start to center the businesses within your community that are operated by the people from your community. Right? We can do that. Also, we got to start talking to our young people. We got to talk to our young people. We got to talk to each other about the beauty and the magnificence of that which we are. Right? Teach them about the Marcus Garvey movement. Teach them about Malcolm X. Teach them about teach them about W.E. Du Bois. Teach them all these things. Teach them some of the lessons of the greats that helped get us to where we are. Not only that, teach them to love themselves. Man, so many of our young people are just adrift right now. They don't have an appreciation for their own culture and who they are. So so oftentimes they find themselves emulating and chasing fads. And those fads and those things are really actors feeding back to their consumers, right? These so-called, the so-called thug rap thing, right? A lot of those brothers, they are doing what they're doing because they escaped what they're now portraying on TV. Right? They don't want to be that no more. That's why they over there rapping. If they wanted to be stick-up kids and D-boys, they'd still be doing it, right? But because our kids are a little bit of adrift, they have a hard time separating entertainment from reality. And so they think that the entertainment is the reality. And they end up, you got suburban kids, you got, neighborhood kids, and, they're sitting here trying to act tough and trying to be gangsters when there's no life in that. And we know there's no life in that. And the people selling it to them know there's no life in that. But if you could help your kids and help all of our children understand that that's really entertainment, take it for something and what it is. Take it for entertainment. Don't take it for what a pathway for your life. Then we could possibly have a little bit less stick-up kids and have more stand-up kids, right? But within that, there's a draw on the community that has to be there. We have to be there to support these children, right? A young person should not be worried about paying their family's rent. The community can help with that. You ain't got to have a lot of money. Once again, $10, $20. We work that out. Set up a fund. The money goes in there. We elect who sits over that particular fund. They can't take money out without the approval of whatever board that we also select, and we rotate out the board and we rotate out the treasurer, and you're able to do these things. We can control that. We can now help pay each other's light bills, pay each other's, car notes or car insurance or medical or prescriptions. Like, we can start to do these things so that now the young people can focus more on why education actually can benefit them, so that they can earn more money and they can have stronger careers, so they can then do this at a higher level than where they started out from when they then take on being an adult, versus having to figure out how to get it out the mud at 14, 15 years old. So now you're out here, you're seduced by the quick money because you need the quick money. And now we've lost another generation, So I think that's another big thing where we can work on. And we'll talk about some of these things in much more detail. This is only the second video. So, but what I'm really hitting on here is we have to turn inward on ourselves and see where we can shine a light on possibilities and opportunities, right? And I think some of the lowest hanging fruit is feeding back into our children an identity, a love for their culture and a love for their people, so that we can stop this independent, individualized obsession that we have. Because the old African proverb, right, says you can go fast alone, but you go further together. We've gotten to becoming a collection of sprinters. We all running fast, but we run out of gas, we ain't getting nowhere. And the competition that we're up against, they're moving in groups, right? They're moving as collectives. We can do the same thing. We must do the same thing. So I want this video stream to be where we have some of those conversations, right? We can vent some of our grievances, we can do all those things, but at the end of the day, how do we put things together? How do we go after the education structure to make it serve us more? How do we go after the how we start businesses and control businesses in our own community so we can impact unemployment, right? How do we get to the point where we can employ more of our own people so that we don't have to rely on the generosity or the extras or scraps from other communities? You know, if you have the opportunity to go out there and make, good money doing whatever, go do it. But do it with a love for your community, because now you can be one of those people who put that $10, $20 I was talking about. You might be able to do 100, 200, 300, who knows, whatever. But we got to get back to basics, and we have to like really, really, really focus on each other, so that we can really compete in a much better way. So that's what I mean by uncentering whiteness, is stop being obsessed about what other groups are doing. Stop being obsessed about what white folks are doing. They're going to do what they're going to do. In fact, if you take the time to study the movements of their community, you already know some of the movements, some of the things that are going to come. Like what we're dealing with right now in our political landscape is 100% predictable. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us already knew it. A lot of us are so apathetic that we figured it was happening anyway, right? Cool. But while that's happening, we still have to live and we still have to make things go. So I'm saying, let's do that, but let's focus on each other to strengthen each other so that we can accomplish a little bit more, right? I want more Black millionaires. I want, now we at the point where we got to start chasing being billionaires, because millionaires, you got to get there anyway, bro. You want to retire. Like that's what I'm first stop along my way is the millionaire, but then I got to push past that, because that's the only way you're going to get generational wealth, because $1 million now isn't what it used to be. So how do we get more of our people to where their household income is 100,000 plus, and then move it to $200,000 plus, and then make sure that as we're moving up those ladders, we're also reaching back and lifting up so that we can get more of our people in those flows, right? How do we get more electricians, more plumbers, more carpenters, more drywall experts? How do we get those people? We get them by creating them, investing in them. You got a young person who they're going to school. They don't understand why they're really at school. They really ain't into it, but they're really good with their hands. Okay, here's why I need you to finish school. Because you finish school, I'm going to pay for you to go and get your licensing in carpentry or being a general contractor or something like that. I'm going to pay for you to so that you can go and work as an intern or apprentice for a plumber, and we'll make sure that you still have income while you're over there studying. We'll pay for that. The community will pay for that. All right. These are things we can do. I truly believe we can. But yeah, those are conversations for later. But what I would like for y'all to do, for real, let's learn how to focus on ourselves. Not to the exclusion and detriment of others. That's not the point. It's about focusing on ourselves to make ourselves better. Right? Better as a person, as an individual, better as a network, better as a community. And I truly believe we can do it. We've shown we can do it. There are some of us out there already doing it. We just need more of us doing it. So yeah, there you go. Complex Mind, Simple Man. Just thinking out loud.